All right, and we're back with part 2, where we're going to have a chat with Rish about what it is like to grow up queer in Singapore and what are some of the challenges that he might be facing since the repeal. So, Rish, we're back to you. We're going to talk.
Yeah.
You heard my intro.
Yes.
So, what was life like, or what is life like, growing up in Singapore, being queer?
Growing up, because I wouldn't say there was much in primary school because back then you're kids, you don't really know much. I think it started when I was in secondary school because like that was the point where everything starts to go into place. You hear people like all the mumbo jumbo for puberty or whatever.
Look at Dharmhik, he's just like, I feel you, bruh. My teenagers were just massively messy.
Exactly. So it was just like, I can safely say I miss secondary school times, but I would never go back. I would never, because it was traumatic as hell.
What do you mean by why was it traumatic?
I said because I think it was the more of like the I was a nerd. I was dark skinned, and also I would say I wasn't really a typically masculine guy. Like, I was small, I was scrawny, and also I wouldn't say I was masculine. Like my friends were mostly girls and stuff like that. So it was like target this dude. So it was really like a huge mess that I would never go back. I was made fun of. I had like my pants pulled down. My books were thrown across the classroom. Like and even the teacher walked in was like, he didn't know what to do. It all sort of changed when I reached poly when I was 17, because really I graduated with this traumatic thing going on, and then when I entered poly I was so scared. I was like, oh, are they going to do the same thing? Like, is this going to be round 2 of everything for the past 4 years? And the funny thing was, because 17 was the first time I actually said that I wasn't straight to someone. I said it to my best friend. By the way, she had a 3-second surprise, and after that she was like, you can do whatever you want, I don't care. And we went to go eat McDonald's after that.
So she never knew. She never guessed.
Yeah, she never guessed. I think maybe it's on the back of her head, but she never like put her finger on it. So when I said, she was like, are you serious? I was like, yeah. She was like, do whatever you want, I don't care.
Good. That's the type of best friend you want.
Yeah.
Dharmhik, what are your responses to Rish's challenges growing up queer in secondary school, right?
Okay. I feel like I can see where it like hurt, because for me it wasn't because of sexuality, but just because I'm not physically able, right? So what happened is that similar, but I feel like it's always that point where once you leave secondary school, you start hanging out with mature people, right? Because in secondary school, everything, even the smallest difference, will make you the target for anything, right? And I guess it's just maturity of your classmates. And once you get out of secondary school, everything gets better, actually.
I think about secondary schools also. Everyone is young, they are young. So if one person does it, let's say the popular kid does it, everyone is going to do it.
Yeah.
It's way too High School Musical, like.
Yeah.
It's like, I never actually watched the movies, right? But once I watched it one time, and I was like, so this is why they all behave this way.
Right. They're all just looking up to the movies.
Yeah.
So what about the teachers? Was there ever any teacher that was a little bit biased, or you could feel like this one you know what I mean, right? This one those one don't treat me like the rest.
No, actually, to be honest, I wouldn't say they were biased, but I would just say they didn't know what to do. Because, okay, sure, it's like typical, like if someone bullies you, you complain teacher, the teacher gives them detention. Like it was that, but it was more like they didn't know how to handle that type of situation at that point. I would say they weren't really biased. At the most, they were biased. I wasn't studying properly.
Which is good. It's good. It just shows that they were more focused on studies.
Education. But yeah, I would just say they weren't trained properly to handle this type of situation. And also, back then I didn't even know myself in secondary school whether I was gay or bi or whatever. So how am I gonna work around this, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean I teach at an art school, and we're much more liberal and open. about sexuality, but I know that's that's not a normality, that's a rarity. I think in polytechnics or secondary schools, there's no way teacher's gonna come into class and be like, "Hello, everybody. What are your pronouns? Are you a he, him? Are you a he, they?" You know, and
Oh
say
my God,
like, you know.
that would be adorable to actually have a teacher walk in and actually ask that.
Would you like that? I mean, talking about pronouns, because pronouns also dictate, you know, your sexuality and what you identify as. Like,
Yeah, I would definitely have. It would legit mean so much. Like you literally went from a zero personality to 100 real quick. Like the moment someone comes and asks me, "Oh, what are your pronouns?" I would immediately go, "Oh God, this person actually cares." Like it
Wow.
was, I have had like some people actually do, and I just went blank and I went surprised, but in a very good way, because I was like, "Oh wow, this the rare few times someone actually came and asked me." It felt so sweet. It felt so like wow. Yeah.
So, I mean, that kind of is the starting journey, though, still a rarity, towards sort of like fully embracing and accepting the LGBTQ plus community, right? Do you think, Dharmik, some of our views have changed about the LGBTQ plus community since the repeal happened?
Okay, well, first before I answer that, right? Because we were talking about schools and secondary school students, right? Teachers. The teachers, this is one thing that suddenly popped in my mind. I just remembered. There was this teacher, I don't know what subject she was teaching, right? It was completely unrelated. She just started talking about, she went on this spiel about, you know, gay sex and it causes AIDS and this and that. And then she said, this is why the Lord says sodomy is bad. And I'm like, we're in school. It's a secondary school, you know. And she started going on this spiel about Christianity and
I
this
would
and
have
that.
walked out of the class at
Oh,
that point.
I was just
I
so
would have
shocked.
walked out.
I was like, what has this to do with any of us and what we're studying?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have heard stories about that happen, you know, more than once, where people are trying to put their own sort of like firm beliefs onto other people, and everybody can have their own belief. It's just that when you try and like suffocate someone else with it, it's like, hey, relax, right?
Yeah, for this, you need the camera. The camera, look here. I need the camera.
needs the
The
camera.
aggression. Look here.
Give Dharmik the camera now.
Okay, you got beliefs, good for you. I don't need to know.
Think what, because yeah, it's the majority, because LGBTQ, we are not forcing our you have to be gay, you have to be, but no, we are literally saying you can have your beliefs. We want to coexist. Everybody wants to coexist together.
Yeah.
You cannot just disregard a whole group of people.
I wouldn't say that a lot has changed. It's more like now people are more accepting of the fact. Because even before the repeal, like, you know, there are people out there who are already supportive. You know, just that they weren't like, you know, going out like spreading a message or anything. It's just they support, you know, if they find out a friend is queer, they'll be really supportive. They, you know, who cares that, you know, you just like some your preferences are different from mine.
Yeah.
And so what does that matter? We're still friends, right?
Yeah.
But after the repeal, it's more commonly accepted. So you can, even if your friend decides to say out loud, nobody can do anything about it, right? The law doesn't say it's wrong. They're just being expressive for what they want to say.
I think it's more, there's no law to criminalize them. I think that's the most powerful change. But I think it's still going to take a few generations.
I would say it's less criminalized, it more like demonizes them. Because, you know,
Yeah.
because it becomes a situation where the law says it's wrong, then this religion, that religion says it's wrong. So it must be really wrong.
But I think that's
Yeah.
why when they repealed 377A, they also amended the constitution. As they say, quote unquote, if I'm not wrong, they want to uphold family values, uphold the definition of marriage between a man and a woman.
Yeah.
So I would, as a whole, repeal 377A, I would say it's a step forward and 2 steps to the side. I wouldn't say 2 steps to the back because it's moving forward. So 1 step forward, 2 steps to the side. So again, we want but there's another long battle ahead now.
Exactly.
Actually, I get it. Because the things that's how I feel about a lot of things. Is a lot of times change has to be taken slow, right?
Yes.
Because we still have a large population of older people who are really strongly against newer views, right? Like being accepting, they're not exactly that, but it's over time where the younger generation starts to grow older and get into more affluent parts of the society. They get to
Yeah.
decide it's okay, this is fine. Then younger generation also learn that, and as it goes up, we start to have change,
Yeah.
right? Compared to trying to force it at once, then we end up in a situation where the old people will be really mad. They'll complain, and they'll say government this, government that, and whatever. Then you got
Yeah.
a huge fight.
Were you disappointed by the constitutional amendment?
Very much so, because repeal, okay, you don't criminalize two guys going out, but now what's the long term for us queer people? Cannot get married, cannot have children. Cannot adopt children, or cannot, like have a family. Or you cannot get housing. It's literally like a blockage of a lot
Yeah.
of things.
So it's like you're legal, but what are your rights? To be legal?
Exactly. Like, and the thing, I don't know if you watched the debate. It's the
No, I didn't watch
debate.
the
Yeah,
debate.
it was a lot of it's the way they put it. Like I have so many LGBTQ friends, or I have family, so it pains me to say that I cannot support the repeal. I thought to myself, how contradictory is that? Because you say that you have many friends and they're close friends. How exactly would they feel the moment you said those words? Literally disregarding them.
So wrapping up part 2, I mean, as you can tell from our discussion, even though Section 377A has been repealed, it obviously still comes with its challenges. But we want a brighter future where we all live in unity, or at least, as Rish said, coexist together. So in part 3, we're going to have a chat about that. Please stay tuned.